you don't think you're biased, not only are you biased, you're also ignorant. A couple months ago, I had occasion to go down to Pittsburgh for the day. My son was coming in to the train station. He's in the military, and we were picking him up down in Pittsburgh. Now, I live about 2 hours away from Pittsburgh. Here's something you need to understand about this story. I'm a lifelong Cleveland Browns fan, and I did not want to like Pittsburgh. I had always thought of Pittsburgh as an armpit of Midwest USA. And that's based on the fact that if you're a Browns fan, you cannot like anything related to Pittsburgh. But I like Pittsburgh. I was walking around Pittsburgh. It's very walkable. Fermani Brothers, all the stuff. I really like Pittsburgh. And this is an example of the effect that bias has on people. Bias is the topic today. People have to understand how to deal with their biases in a business or organizational environment because bias can get in the way of someone being effective. If you don't think you're biased, not only are you biased, you're also ignorant. Bias is something that everyone has. It's not always negative. This is something that develops in people over time based on how they were raised, where they were raised, who they were surrounded by, what organizations they were part of, what school they went to, how they were raised. I already said that. At any rate, bias is something we all have, and it's important to be aware of it. And at some point, we're going to talk about emotional intelligence in this podcast, but today we're going to focus on why bias really is bad if you don't control it. Bias is not always a negative thing. I can have a positive bias towards something. Unless I manage that, though, unless I'm aware of that, even a positive bias can interfere with how effective I am as a leader. I could overweight thoughts and suggestions from someone that I have a personal relationship with. I'm biased positively toward them. So maybe if they suggest something, I'm going to listen to that more deeply than I would someone who's a new employee or whatever. This is one of the issues. Bias shows up an awful lot in social media right now. I mean, that almost is a duh statement, but who doesn't know that? But it's sad. It's unfortunate. It dumbs down the discussion of our society. People can't get past their biases in a discussion, and therefore nothing ever moves forward. For example, the biggest violator of this issue is discussions about politics. People are much more interested in supporting their team rather than getting to a greater understanding of the issues. It's often not about the issues. It's more often about who's making the suggestion. And if the who's making the suggestion is someone that's on the wrong team, then I'm not going to listen to it. This happens all the time in Facebook or TikTok or Twitter or X, whatever it's called. People respond, well, you are on that side, so you're therefore stupid, and I'm not going to listen to your idea. This is bias creeping in and dumbing down our society. If we let this into our business environment, not only are we holding that business back, but we're holding the employees that we've hired back. We have made an incredible amount of investment in our employees. And if we don't know how to interact with everyone who has different opinions, different perspectives, if we don't understand how to deal with that, then we're basically driving the boat of our business with the anchor already deployed. The real diversity that needs to be focused on in the business world. It's not diversity of race, colors, creed, or whatever. It's about diversity of perspectives. That's the only thing that really matters. If I'm thinking about the value my business brings to the table, that value is going to be strengthened by my access to greater perspectives of the people from within my business. I cannot be so short-sighted to think, well, that person's making a suggestion, but they're on the wrong team. You are missing out on a greater opportunity for experience, a greater opportunity for growth, a greater opportunity for understanding if you allow the biases that you have to get in the way of really connecting with people. And I know this sounds sociological, but business is sociology. Sociology is basically the study of how people interact with other people. It's a study of people. Business is all about people. It's not about money. Money helps. Profits drive business. Profits help businesses grow. We understand that, but none of that happens without people. If I am a business person and I don't like people, I am not going to survive as a business person very, very long. So bias gets in the way of connecting with people, connecting with our employees, connecting with our colleagues, connecting with customers, connecting with potential customers, connecting with clients. The people in business who do best managing their bias are often salespeople. These people depend on connecting with people to make sales, to drive their own revenue. And salespeople all the time deal with people who they know politically, religiously, sports team wise, are on the opposite spectrum than them. A salesperson who's a Browns fan will sell a car to a person who's a Steelers fan. I guarantee it. An atheist will sell insurance to a devout Christian. I guarantee it. And during those moments of interaction, they find some commonality because guess what? In a sales environment, the focus is on the relationship. And in order to develop that relationship, it's important to find commonality, not to dwell on the differences. Sales is about building those relationships based on some common ground, some community that the salesperson and the client and the customer share. Every day we're selling something. If I'm a leader of a business, I am selling the strategy, the tactics that we're going to be pursuing, the expansions we're doing. I'm selling that not just to the board, but my leadership team, my managers downline from me, and general employees. I'm making a sale every day if I'm a leader of an organization. How can I do that if I allow biases to creep in between that level of communication and the relationships I'm trying to build? So it doesn't matter if someone's on the same team. It doesn't matter. There's got to be some understanding. I will be friends with Steelers fans. I will be friends with Yankees fans, although that's harder, or Knicks fans. People that know me know the inside joke there. But bias has to be something that's managed. You have to be aware of where your biases are. Your assignment, should you choose to do this, is to examine yourself and say, okay, where might I have some biases that could be influencing my decision-making processes? Where are the biases that might be getting in the way of developing these relationships with people downline or people at my level or people above me? By the way, bias against leadership is a real thing. There's people that won't listen to you just because you are in a leadership role. There's people that are biased because they've had some experiences, right? Bias is based on people's life experience. If I'm a union member and I don't trust management, there's reasons why they don't trust management. Now, a lot of times it's just because the narrative has been built and people that have never really worked in an environment and had to deal with management, they've been told by other people that you don't trust management. So there's this culture that's being built. But that culture has been based on somebody's experience in the past. When those things happen, that makes that bias hard to break because people are surrounded by other people who say, no, you're right. No, you're right. Management, all bad. Management, bad. Union, good. Management looks at union and says, we don't trust a union. These people just want to punch the clock and make $1 bazillion. They don't really care about the quality. They don't care about the company. They only care about themselves. These are some of the biases and the stereotypes that management might have about union. And again, those might be based on someone's real life experience. But many of these managers have not ever dealt with a union. They don't know some of these union people personally, but the bias has been built in. And we can see, particularly in a management versus union relationship, we could see the impact of bias there because it becomes very adversarial. Don't let bias cause there to be an adversarial relationship between you and your colleagues, you and your employees, you and your family, you and whatever. Work on that. The more you can be aware, the more you can control it, the better off and the more competitive you will be. Let's go.